I know you hate when I say that, but before we get into the video, a quick PSA. Full-time streamer week is over, and because I had so much fun streaming over on Twitch, I came up with a schedule. That includes Tuesday, Thursday, and the old Friday stream as well, all as per usual at 8 PM Central European Summertime. Thank you all so much for participating and joining my streams. I've had a blast and I hope you did as well. If you don't want to miss out on my streams, do make sure you set up your follow notifications on Twitch, or you can alternatively join my Discord or follow me on Twitter. Especially when it comes to my off-scheduled streams, you know, the occasional early ones. Anyway, that's it already, now have fun with the video. Overwatch is literally unfixable, or at least that's what someone like me would say who lacks any sort of knowledge when it comes to coding, game design, or just game development in general. But I think that nobody with a sufficient amount of playtime in Overwatch would disagree when I said that the game is plagued by a lot of smaller and bigger annoyances. That includes things like car-sized arrow hitboxes, frustrating one-shot mechanics, or things that go a little deeper like poor lag compensation. With the sheer amount of small problems in the game, bigger problems are easily ignored, such as the absolute inconsistency in the character that is Reinhardt, his hammer hitbox, his ultimate range and height, and even the amount of knockback coming from his basic attack. Absolutely everything about this hero is disgustingly inconsistent, to the detriment of those facing off against him trying to predict a safe range, but even those playing Reinhardt themselves who don't know how the hell that Earthshatter didn't get the enemy mercy, or how on earth they managed to kill the Symmetra behind them, but not the Genji that is in their face. So the big question that I start asking myself ended up being, is the game broken by design? And here in the Terios Gaming International Research Facility, we spend all of our time looking for one thing, and one thing only. And that is something to complain about. So how could I pass on this opportunity to complain about the biggest complaint there ever was to complain about? Namely, the entire game. Now listen up, internet, and I know that you're not listening anyway, because no matter how often I preface that I'm not hating on the subjects I'm talking about, people still feel inclined to leave comments before they watch the video. So I challenge you, witty viewer, to go down to the comment section below and find the first dumb comment that makes it obvious that someone clearly didn't understand what we're trying to discuss here. I mean, after I'm done explaining right that, obviously you need some context yourself. What sparked the idea for this video was a video made by one of the patch note gods himself, so take a quick listen here.
How's it going, everybody? Force here. Want to let you guys know about an upcoming change to Genji's ultimate that will be giving him an increased swing speed, allowing for 7 swings instead of 6. They're doing it because there was a bug where some players with higher latency got a 7th swing, which was more than they intended, because they got used to it. The reasoning based on what's worded was just that some people got used to a 7th swing, so here you go. Now everybody gets a 7th swing.
So just as Force said himself in their video, it is possible that this was based on miscommunication. The idea to buff a hero because there was a bug before and people already got used to it seems rather silly. So it is possible that there were balance related reasons for them to consider this change. However, it doesn't really conflict with what we're seeing in the game and the changes that have been made in it over time. Meaning the idea that they tried to appeal to a portion of the player base with poor connection that previously benefited from a bug doesn't seem that far-fetched. After all, Overwatch is all about accessibility. From heroes that take a lot of skill and thought to those who don't, it is obvious that the target player base for this game is not just the hardcore shooter crowd, and that's a good thing. After all, that's in part why Overwatch is as successful as it is. But that also comes with a lot of problems. One such problem is balancing. If you take the remains of a game that was originally supposed to be an MMO and then say, fuck it, let's make a shooter, that only invites chaos if you factor in accessibility. Balancing the heroes based on their design alone is difficult enough, but also considering varying levels of skill from a massive player base makes this an absolutely impossible task. There is no way to balance so many characters for so many different levels of play if your game is based on the idea of swapping heroes. And that brings us to the next problem as well, which is the matchmaking rating. Some of you guys might say though, but MOBAs also have a ton of characters. But in that case, you also have a lot of things that assist balancing. Drafting at the start of the game, map objectives, items, and obviously also team play. Ultimately, it is very easy to compare performance levels in such games. How many AIs have been cleared, how many players have been taken out, and how did that player perform compared to other players on that same champion. In shooters, that's very often just as easy, if not even more easy. How many people did you shoot in the freaking face, and how often did you get shot in the freaking face? In Overwatch, just the idea that heroes can be swapped at will makes assigning a level of skill infinitely more difficult, and it's not like we're done here. Every hero, while sharing roles with others, has their own unique kit and utility. So a hero skill does not start and end with a kill-death ratio. I mean, just take Ana as an example. Next to the amount of damage and healing that you have done, a good Ana is also also measured by the decisions that she made. How many biotic grenades confirm kills through its healing disabling nature? How many heroes did she sleep? And how many of those sleeps actually contributed to the teamfight? Overwatch is a game that stands and falls based on the decisions that players make. Games in lower elo can be won entirely based on counterpicking, with individual mechanical skill only minorly affecting the outcome. Later on, hero mastery becomes just as important. Knowing how to handle your hero's kit becomes vital for your success in a ranked environment. And as we already made clear, every hero has their own unique purpose in the game. How do you measure something like this? How do you assign skill values to players making good or poor decisions? How do you know whether someone's good mechanical performance was based on their own abilities or the fact that their team supported them? How do you know whether or not playing far from the objective was a smart or a dumb idea? And how do you know whether the 32 kills that I got this game mattered or not? Overwatch is far more than your kill-death ratio, though it is not an incredibly difficult game, especially not if you played MOBAs or shooters before, because it combines a lot of the principles of those genres. However, the fact that Overwatch appeals to so many more players than just shooter and MOBA veterans means that there's also a massive part of the community that is not familiar with those mechanics and thus has to learn the entirety of this game from scratch. And to someone who didn't play any sort of competitive game before, playing Overwatch properly might be similar to learning about biology. It looks very simple on paper when you learn about it in school, but you don't even know all the things that you can do wrong until you're in the real thing. So it's not just that you have to assign skill values to whether or not someone plays the game properly, and by that either does or doesn't contribute to a win, but also the different levels of wrong playing that make up the vast majority of lower elo play. Combining all of my questions into one, how on earth do you balance something like this and in the process assign MMR values to players? The answer to balance might just be fixing something that's not broken or breaking something to mitigate something else. Players in low elo can't perform reliably on McCree and Widowmaker, better buff soldiers so they have something that can kill Pharah. Meanwhile, McCree has been ruled out completely for a very long time in high elo because Soldier was now a better version of him with way more margin for error, better mobility, and an especially amazing ultimate. And when it comes to balancing heroes through breaking them by design, Reinhardt might be just the perfect example of that. What if the only way to make a character like him viable was to extend his hammer hitbox so far that nobody can tell where it starts and where it ends? And what if the only way to make this game accessible to a massive community who maybe can't all afford a blazing fast internet connection was to create a netcode that feels incredibly inconsistent at times? We as players don't even know about all the compromise they had to make to create this game. Yes, there are a lot of things that annoy us, a bunch of things that seem broken, and a few things that sometimes make us want to quit outright. But for this one, it might just be a case of taking the good with the bad. As much as it is an easy and fun game to get into, once you dive deeper, there is a lot to be mastered and there's a lot to be done wrong. Balancing for both extreme ends of the spectrum and everything in between might just be an impossible task. And as much as we want to throw simple suggestions at the devs that seem like an obvious fix, odds are that they did consider those, and that they decided against them because it interferes with something that a lot of us didn't even think about. So at the end of the day, yes, Overwatch really pisses me off at times, but ultimately I still love this game, and I can't wait to see what the devs have in store for us next. But whether you agree or disagree, do let me know your opinion down in the comment section below. Until then, don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and hope to see you all next time. We're all in this together, and we stomp every game on Zenyatta, and we worked for this Masters rank really hard, and I'm really glad we can end off on this. I acted like I didn't care, so Jeff doesn't take it away from me, you know what I'm saying? Alright, thanks for carrying me into Masters, babe.